Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Red Room. Today, we are going to talk about our future plans regarding role-playing games, of course.
Yes, we are. And behind me is the logo of ZoneSec, which is relevant for this discussion because we're going to start here in Avalidad, which is, as you may know or may not know, a city in Northern Africa, the place where Tangiers was before. This was my William Burroughs Punk game, and it will still be my William Burroughs Punk game. I published this one also. This is a scenario for the campaign setting. It was the first campaign setting for Punk, which is kind of new. Also, it was published. I
last
think
year, I don't know what.
it
was
was
last year, but I'm not sure
which month.
what
I
time
think
it was. Yes.
April, maybe. It was not long before Avalidad, probably 1 month before Avalidad, maybe a little more. And this is the one which will be probably the next book will be probably for very likely for Avalidad, because I already have two books written for Avalidad. One of those is a companion, mostly rules options, equipment lists, a few more characters, a few more places, a description, a more lively, I hope, this colorful description, written as if it was documentary about the town, a travel guide, and I hope it helps clearing the description of Avalidad. And there's also more information about the timeline, because it was left very much vague and kind of nebulous, but now I wanted to explain a little bit more without getting into detail. So it is still nebulous, but at least the events are compared to each other. They have a timeline, so it is 30 years in the future, whatever that future is. If you read it today, it's 30 years in the future from today. If you read it next year, it will still be in the future 30 years. And then there's the rest of the timeline, because I picked up several information from the book related to characters who are important, or organizations or corporations, and then I arranged it as a way to simplify things. So
to help create a story.
Yeah, if you are using this, you'll probably want to know when was this, when something was invented, and when some kind of technology started to be used in Avalidad and outside of Avalidad. And I kicked it a bit further into the future. I added 1 year, which isn't described, but that year is supposed to be the year when the plot seeds here happen. Because if people I don't know if anyone played this, but if someone played it, it is expected that some time will pass and some things can already have happened, and then you have some information about some other things that came up after this. So this is companion.
And then there's another adventure.
There are also psionic rules and something else, some other optional rules. Sanity, well, it was repeated. Sanity rules were introduced in this one, but I think it was better to include them in the companion, because there are rules for everything there. So all the optional rules for Punk, of course, but I didn't do rules for actual fucking monsters. That one is the part. I think that if people are going to play this with the rules I suggested, it is very likely they'll use the recommended Punk, because it's more closer to this. So besides this, there's already a source book written, and this one is Lisbon of the Near Future, which has a historical connection, which I'll explain in that book. I mean, I already did it because it's already written, not published, but written. So there's an historical connection between Portugal and Tangiers, a very long history. Tangiers at the time was Portuguese, and there are still streets with the Portuguese names there.
Imperialism.
Yeah, very
Disgusting.
nasty things,
Yes.
colonialist things, horrible, horrible. I don't think they hate us for that, but anyway. There are still monuments there, so also.
Yeah, and a lot of Portuguese tourists, so they have no reason to hate us.
No, there's no reason for that. Unless those tourists don't buy stuff. That's the only reason they could hate us. So it's and I turned Lisbon into a gambling town, a gambling city like Los Angeles, no,
Las Vegas.
Las Vegas, like Las Vegas, and well, more or
Little
less,
Vegas.
more like Little Vegas, more like Macau, because there's another connection to Portugal. Macau is also a very important gambling town. So I turned it into a city gambling town, perhaps as seedy as Avalidad, but with casinos, because Avalidad is not a gambling town. There are casinos, but they aren't really important. And obviously drugs and hookers.
Yeah, Lisbon in that imagined future is basically living from tourists that go there to gamble.
Yeah,
and other stuff.
And do drugs and sleep with hookers, and not just hookers, but there are plenty of that, sex peep shows and other kind of sleazy entertainment shows. So it's basically a gambling town, and it's also a prehistoric town in a way, because there's no biotechnology. It's forbidden in Lisbon, kind of forbidden. Maybe if a player is doing a trip, it may be allowed special authorization, but it is usually psionic powers and biotechnology are banned in Lisbon, because it would be kind of problematic, but not in that way.
Yeah, psionic powers would be a big problem in a gambling town.
Yeah. So the casinos don't want to be stolen by gamblers with kind of I don't know, mind readings, biotechnology.
With an edge.
So that's it. So this is the. I'm not sure when this one, the next this about Lisbon. I have no idea when it will be going to be published, because it's written, but it's missing a layout. So without a layout, I can't publish it. The other one, I think it's already in motion, so it may be published in March. I'm not sure.
Yeah, the companion, right?
Yeah, the companion. Let's hope it can be published in March. It would be nice. But I have other stuff already done.
I'm gonna make a question that is out of script that we don't have, but you were planning. I know some time back you were planning on maybe writing another scenario for Validad, another adventure.
Yep, and
is that still out? Yeah, it's that one still out of the box. You don't know.
I don't know, because I'll explain it later. One of the scenarios I'm going to write next, not scenarios, one of the campaign settings I'm going to write next, also for Punk, is based on this is based on this 45 Retrocalypse, also by Postmortem and James Desborough. I'm going to pick this up, and the story of this very gonzo, very crazy, and I'm going to turn this into something more. I'm going to add stuff and change the rules, of course, because this is Express or something like that. I'm not sure the name of the rules, and I'm going to turn that into a punk setting, and I'm going to change a bit of the. Well, probably not. I won't change much, because it's based on this campaign setting is based on the US, and I'll leave it be, but I will add some other places, and I'll expand on an axis, which is problematic in itself. So okay, that's the plan, and I'm not sure how I'll want to do things. So maybe I'll use some of the ideas I had for.
Yeah, that idea may go there. Yeah, you're right.
I'm not sure. Let's wait and not reveal anything about that.
So let's go back to the things that are already written. They're just waiting for a layout.
Yeah. Anyway, just to put this one aside, one of the future things I'm going to do, and that one isn't done yet, so that's just a plan. It's something which will be called, and I will leave it here because I had a bad experience. Someone published something that with a name I'm going to use, so I want to leave it out there. I'm going to call this one Tales of Future Past. Okay, I had the idea. Even if it takes 2 years to lay out, the idea was mine. If there's a published Tales of Future Past, I don't care. I had the idea before. Fuck you. Okay, so I'm going to talk about that. So double features. There are some double features.
Two double features.
Yeah, they were already written. There are some Call of Cthulhu scenarios, which are called double features grindhouse something.
And they were published after you have written these ones, but they weren't published yet. So like, damn it.
Yeah, I was kind of annoyed by that. But okay, even though I had written a blog post about it, so I mentioned there's a date there in the blog post. So, and if you compare the date to the date that those scenarios are published, you will see that I had the idea before I knew about that. So I didn't steal it. Okay, so double features. There are two double features. The first one, I think it will be the first one, includes two grindhouse style scenarios. One of those, we played it already. So we are playtesting things now before they are published.
Yeah, we are trying to pretend we're professionals.
Yes, we are. Well, we are. I had playtested some of the other stuff, but a long time ago. Now we are playtesting right before they are published. So okay, and it's worked. It worked.
Yes.
Everybody died except one.
Everybody, yeah, two people were raped. They were both my characters. Then they died.
Well, one wasn't your characters.
Yeah, it was an unplayed that I just got. Yes, because I just got after my character died.
Yeah.
But then he was raped by the same demon and killed.
So the first part was misogynistic, and the other was just bad taste because it was a man.
You can say it's homophobic, maybe.
Perhaps.
Someone can say.
Transphobic, something.
Yes.
I don't know. Everything is transphobic. Everything is racist. So.
And every sperm is sacred.
And every sperm is sacred. That's true. Where was I? Double features. Yeah.
Yes.
So what we're talking about was sexual holocaust, which will be included in the first double feature. It's as I said, a grindhouse style scenario inspired by Cenobites and ass rapings and other things like that. Nice things. It includes demons, of course. These demons are
the same demons from Avalidad in the Sisters of Mercy. It's not the Sisters of Mercy.
It could
the
be,
Sisters
but
of Seven. Yes.
Yeah, the Apostles of Pain. If you have already played one of those, you probably have read about Apostles of Pain. They are. This will be their biggest moment because until now they were either secondary, just mentioned, or optional. In the case of the Seven Sisters, they are optional because if you played it like a Giallo, you won't use them. In this scenario, you have to use them because they are the stars. And the second scenario in that double feature is a zombie thing, a zombie scenario.
Resort of the Dead, right?
Resort of the Dead, yes, which has two original things. Not the zombies, of course. That's not original at all, but there are two original things. The first thing is not really original, but at least not as used up as everything else, because it's in a resort, summer resort. I know there are some video games with zombies in a summer resort, but they are in Australia, I think, or New Zealand, I'm not sure. It's full of zombies now. but the resort is not in Australia or whatever that thing is. It's in Portugal. So that's the truly original thing. There is no zombie scenario or movie.
There's a movie. Yeah, actually, there is a
No,
short movie.
yeah, but it's not in a summer resort.
Yeah, it's not. It's in Portugal. Yeah, one of the few Portuguese horror movies.
Yeah, there is a short
Yeah,
with zombies, but it's in
it's in
a
up
small
north.
village. Yeah,
Yes,
so that's the original part of it, and there are some originalities. Some
it happens in the 80s.
it happens in the 80s. Yeah, the other one happens when you want it to happen, but preferably late 70s, early 80s, because it's the best time for a grindhouse. Not after the mid 80s. I don't think it works that good. Anyway, so it takes place in Portugal during the 80s, and there's another character that makes an appearance, the newspaper guy from Sisters of the Seven Sins. The other characters are all new. There are no apostles of pain in this one,
No,
just
just
zombies,
zombies.
just zombies. And but there are some very Portuguese ideas that will probably people will not understand
I
the
hope they will find it. We hope they will find it exotic, right?
amusing
Yeah.
at least. I introduced. Well, there was as it happened in the sisters. I added some information about that, but I'm expecting people to, if they are going to play that, if someone will play that, I don't know, to use the national stereotypes for that because it's the perfect place for this.
Mhm.
Uh, I think it would work better because it's supposed to be a horror thing, obviously, but not as serious as the other one, because that's also a part of grindhouse, not being over the top or being too nuts, too crazy, too gonzo. So you can play a national stereotype, a tourist, for example, unless you want to play
Yes.
it by the book, and then if you play it by the book, you probably will play a Portuguese character, the staff of the hotel.
And let's just say that anything that is written to take place in Portugal has to be a little bit gonzo.
Yeah, it has. There is for foreigners, it's probably they won't understand, but we can explain it. There's very little horror or science fiction or fantasy productions in Portugal. Not,
They're
well, at
not
least
even that
ours,
much thrillers.
not even thrillers. Yeah, and not even books. Most Portuguese books are either author things, very serious things, or then childish, juvenile
Shit.
for youth. Yeah, well, some of those are not bad, but well, there's
I'm
no
thinking about the romances.
yeah, well,
The
there's
romances
no
are awful.
the problem is there's no tradition in fiction, either movies or books or whatever, or theater. There's no tradition of fantasy, horror, science
Yeah,
fiction,
no
all that. So
genre.
yeah, no genre tradition in Portugal. So it's difficult to think about that without turning it into a ridiculous thing. If you turn it ridiculous, yeah, you can picture it in Portugal. But if you think about serious sci-fi or serious even police things, even
Yeah,
police
I
crime
remember
stories.
one of our most successful directors that he said that if you have, because he did a movie about trafficking, I think it was drug trafficking, and it was a comedy, and he said, no, you can't do it serious in Portugal. It has to be a
Hmm,
comedy.
that's it. It doesn't work. Okay, so this is the first double feature. Then there's a second double feature, and that one starts with, well, I'm not sure about
That's a
well,
spaghetti one.
yeah,
Let's say it like that.
yes, that's it. The other is grindhouse. This one is spaghetti. Spaghetti, why? Because it includes one scenario which is a Western spaghetti, and the other scenario is a fantasy one. Not there's not well there is now a spaghetti fantasy, but that's a role-playing game called Bracalonia, which is for 5th edition, but there's nothing to do with that, or maybe it has something to do with that because there are a series of movies done in the 80s which are fantasy. Most of those were Conan ripoffs.
The barbarians.
and a lot of those similar ones. And I think that kind of sleaziness and gonzo and the lack of means of production, the lack of money, the lack of budget, turn them into strange things. They aren't all of those aren't Italian. Some of those are English and from other countries, Spanish probably, but the majority are Italian. So I think it is the connection here is Italian. So the first scenario, it also one, yeah, based in something that we already played, but it's just the first part of the scenario. I'm not going to describe that a lot because, well, it's a story within a story scenario. It starts with the production of a movie, which is going to be
A
filmed,
Western spaghetti.
yeah, which is going to be filmed in Almeria in Spain, and then weird things start happening, and the story can or will be well, it starts as kind of a drama, I think, maybe crime drama perhaps, but then strange things start happening in the sets of the movie sets, I mean, and it turns into a horror thing.
Yeah, let's just say there's a rift there.
Yeah, yeah. Reality and fiction start to mix. It can be fun, I think, and it can be played quickly probably, but also take a lot of time, because if you start playing the first characters who are the director, the producer, and actors, they have some connections, and so you can play that for some time, and then you go into the horror part of it. It could be used in a way to surprise your players. And then there's another scenario which I didn't write. It was written by someone else, not
Yeah,
me.
it was written
You.
by me.
So now you do the
So
talking.
it's going to be awful. So it's a fantasy scenario. It's called The Seven Bastards. Miguel asked me to write it. Something about fantasy. Well, I kind of volunteered. So it's not a real fantasy. So it's not to be taken serious. It's spaghetti after all. So it's Italian, low budget. There will be very little fantasy. Like the other scenario, we want it to be filthy. So the characters, the seven bastards, the party, they are not heroes. They are all anti-heroes. So you're gonna play someone that is, I'm not gonna say nasty. I'm always using nasty. I like them. I love those characters. They are awful. Not
Well, they aren't villains. They are
exactly.
anti-heroes.
Exactly. They are anti-heroes. The villains are the orcs, of course.
The orcs are racist. Everybody knows.
Yes, that's why they are the villains.
They
Villains.
don't like people, so they are racist.
So there will be low fantasy, low magic. I mean, a lot of fighting, probably, lots of sex.
Low budget also.
Yes, it's very low budget. There's a character that's Miguel's favorite and probably mine, so I can say that he's a dwarf, that is a sex addict, and he rapes anything. Well, he doesn't have to rape. He likes whores very much.
Yeah, whoring is like.
But it's not against raping.
No,
Let's see how many subscribers we will lose with this talk.
None, because no one is watching. So
well, let's see how it goes. If people don't hate it that much, I may write some more adventures for it, because I had some ideas.
We asked collaboration of someone else,
yes,
Mr. Coombs, to give his expert knowledge about weird stuff. And
yes, he helped with the rules, and he added also some ideas of his own.
So we have already an opinion. You liked it, so it's his fault if it doesn't work.
Yeah,
he's probably the only person who is going to watch this video. So
yeah, it's your fault, Coombs.
Okay, so this is basically there's one thing.
There's something else we are forgetting. What? You have something else almost written.
Oh yeah, I was going to address that now. That's what is lacking. I'm going to mention it because we don't know. someone else might have the idea.
Exactly.
It's called Nouveaupunk, and it will be another scenario. As I said, not scenario. I'm always calling it scenario. No, it's a campaign setting for punk, and it will probably be the next. I'm not sure, unless someone else um, does one, but I think it will be the next campaign setting for punk, and it's set in the late 19th century
In France.
in Paris, more
Yes.
likely in Paris. I first had the idea because I was thinking about Adèle Blanc-Sec, which is a graphic novel, French graphic novel from the 70s. I think there was
A
it,
movie.
yeah, no, no, not what I mean.
Ah, okay.
Recent books already in the 21st century, I think.
Probably.
Yeah, the latest ones, but it started in the 70s. And there is a movie, yeah, it, Fabulous Adventures, The Extraordinary Adventures
The
of
Something
Adele Blanc-Sec.
Adventures of Adèle Blanc-Sec. It's by I forgot his name because he's a rapist and he was cancelled also.
Yeah, I can't remember his name.
The guy from Luc Besson.
Oh, Luc Besson, yeah. So Luc
I was going to
Besson,
call him. I was thinking about Genet, but I knew it wasn't Genet. Yeah, Luc Besson.
now I'm not sure which
No,
one
it's
was
Luc
cancelled.
Besson.
It was
No, Luc
cancelled.
Besson was cancelled. Yes.
Okay. So yeah, okay. So the director was cancelled, so it's good. It was my first inspiration for this, I think. You can also look for some inspiration in Lovecraft because not the part of being in Paris, but because it's supposed to be an investigative scenario
And
with some.
Adele Blanc-Sec has some
Yeah, it has some.
Lovecraftian vibe.
They aren't explicitly mentioned, but they are obviously. If you see the movie, you'll understand. Well, first of all, it starts in the late 19th century, but then it prolongs until post first World War. I mean, Adele Blanc-Sec, not my scenario. Um, but then, so there are some similarities, and also it is an investigative thing, and she is a writer, a pulp writer. She would write some things like the ones Lovecraft himself wrote. So it's an investigative kind of thing, mystery, thriller, perhaps a bit of supernatural, but most likely paranormal. So you can find other sources of inspiration uh, besides
But there will
Lovecraft.
be a punk element there, right? Because you digged up a
Yes,
punk
that's it.
element.
Yeah, I did some research. Well, I was doing some research about the time in Paris, and it was very obvious because it's not really. It's definitely not a secret. It's just something that is usually not doesn't come up. The Apache subculture of Paris in the late 19th century,
That was
almost
it was a
turn
gang.
of the century. Various gangs,
Yes.
a bunch of gangs. They have the description of those guys reminded me of punks, really punks. They have tattoos. They they were kind of rowdy
Yeah.
bunches, and
They dress about
yeah,
very
they were
colorful. They
they were
like to call
kind
attention.
they were kind of fashionable. Kind of, well, not all of those, but they have each group had some kind of a distinctive thing that looks even more cyberpunk. Right? They had names, and then sometimes they dressed according to those names. Others not really. The names were just placed where they acted. But some of those had some unusual names, and the tattoos are also evocative. They wrote strange things, and kind of messages against the system.
Yeah,
So
they
they
were
were,
very they were subculture, but they were I would say they were popular, but people were very afraid of them, right? Because the newspaper talked
yeah.
about them at the time.
From what I've researched, the thing is, at the time, they were going to change a law about the capital punishment, which was, I'm not sure if it was hanging or decapitating, one of those things.
We don't know the French like to decapitate people.
Yeah. So it was either how is it called? The decapitation.
Guillotine.
The guillotine, yeah. I think it
Guillotine.
was the guillotine. I think they were going to outlaw the guillotine, but the newspaper started some newspapers probably started some kind of polemic, and they turned the Apache. They were called Apache because some newspapermen called them that because they were kind of savages. Oh my God, savages!
That's very racist.
I can't say that. Well, anyway, it was the 19th century, so no problem. So they called them savages, and then so they probably it was uh, kind of a popular team at the time, in the Wild West,
Yes.
like the Apache and all that. So that's it. The Apache turned out to be my punks, my Parisian punks of the Belle Epoque, which is the time. It's the name of the setting will be Nouveaupunk Chronicles from the Belle Epoque. What else? Well, there will be several factions, several playable factions. The Apaches will be one of them. There will be, well, the investigator, of course. There will be a specific kind of group who will be investigating kind of paranormal stuff and pseudo supernatural things. But you also can play a police officer or a private detective
Or a journalist.
Or a journalist or an academic. There are obviously other possibilities for inspiration. Sherlock Holmes, even though he started before, he was still active at the time, so it can be. There's also Auguste Dupin.
Mm-hmm.
That one is even better because it's the things happen in Paris. Also, sometime before, but no problem, you can transport that. And there are also other inspirations. For example, the beginnings of criminology and investigation, all that. It started in Paris. It started with how's it called?
Is
There's
that
a
the name of
movie.
the guy? No,
Yeah,
yes, Vidocq.
Vidocq, yeah. Auguste Vidocq. That's obviously some years before, but there's plenty of things in Vidocq's story and his legacy to be used also here. And then there's a beautiful source of inspiration that we discovered recently, which is a TV series, TV show, a French TV show, quite recent. Police 1900, right?
Yes.
That's it. Paris Police 1900. And that is basically what I envisioned before. And then I saw, okay, that's it. That's what I want. That's precisely this. It is set in Paris, obviously in 1900, and it tells several true stories or inspired stories. Inspired by a lot of things that happened at the time. Not really the Apache, though they probably are mentioned.
They have gangs, but
maybe
not
they
those
didn't say
ones.
that. No, they are the ones.
Yeah, but they don't mention they are Apaches.
Yeah, probably that's something that probably it's just, it was the name, the label was created at the time, but maybe a lot of people didn't call them Apache at the time because, well, they were just the gangs. Probably they started to be known more like the Apache years later. So in the series is recent, but it is supposed to be a period thing.
Yeah, but it's a good one.
It's a good one, and one of the themes it's something.
It's not problematic.
No,
I mean it is problematic, so you can watch it.
It starts with a blowjob and a death.
Yes.
So it starts with the bank, and a lot of the story is something that is very present also in this campaign setting. A series of events connected with the Dreyfus affair. The Dreyfus affair, I'm not going to explain that now.
No, that's very confusing to explain.
You just watch a movie.
Yes.
Watch Polanski's movie about it. It's everything explained, or watch the show. So, okay.
Or watch both.
it was an affair with the military, and it involves
Anti-Semitism.
yeah, because the guy was Jewish.
And he was blamed for
Dreyfus.
something. Yes, Dreyfus. He was blamed basically because he was Jewish. He was the
Yeah,
scapegoat.
he was a scapegoat for a series of things, and it started a whole lot of problems, and well, it dominated public affairs in Paris and France, and uh, for 10 years, I think. It was big at the
Yes.
time. So it will be present in all this setting. Um, okay, so I'm not finished with this one, so
Yes, more
I
things
may
will
add
probably
something.
be added.
Yeah. But what I've said until now, it will be included certainly, and it will be probably, I don't know, but maybe kind of original also, because there aren't many things set at the time.
That
There's one game, uh, a Lovecraftian game, Riders of Riley. I don't know how to say that. The fictional place from Lovecraft. Um, that one is set in the same time period, but it's not specifically in Paris. So I think there's something called the King in Yellow, that and there's a French game, I think. But well, that's not much. So kind of,
it's an interesting period.
yeah, I hope it will get the attention of more people, because
So
we'll need that.
stay tuned,
Yeah, stay tuned for this and the other things.
please.
Yeah, please buy my stuff, please,
And subscribe to the channel.
and subscribe to the channel. And well, if you are interested in hearing me ramble about shit, you like this one and the previous one, and I'll maybe do some more videos
Yes.
rambling about shit, but not
Yeah.
my shit anyway, because
Yeah, we can
I've
rant about
covered it.
other people's shit. I think it's better than do proper review. Just talk about the game and that's it.
Yeah, it's probably better. Well, you can leave a comment about that. What shit should we do next?
Yes.
Okay, that's enough for now. So have fun, have a nice week,
Bye-bye.
and all that. Bye bye.